Hey everyone, I'm Scott Cunningham, aka Scottsy Business, and today we are here again with Luke Mulks from Brave, where he is the VP of Business Operations. You might have seen we did an interview in 2019, September of 2019, so quite a while ago now. And we just talked a lot about what Brave was doing and how they were going along at the time. A lot has progressed since. Brave is doing amazing things. We're going to dive into all of that today. And there's some really good stuff for creators in there too that I know you guys will want to check out. So stay tuned. If you didn't see the first one though, can you just give a brief introduction about yourself for the people who might have not seen the first one?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on.
Yep.
Glad to be back. And yeah, so I've been at Brave. I started working with Brave back in 2016. In early 2016, I started consulting with Brave, and they came on full time later that year. I was in advertising, kind of director of ad products for a company called OAO before that, where we were kind of in between the big ad serving stacks and some of the biggest media publishers in the business, and kind of really at the time when programmatic advertising started to take hold. And then prior to that, I was in publishing, and I had founded a couple startups before that. And I came to Brave because being in the belly of that beast and kind of seeing where advertising was going, and all the data that was going on and being collected, I started having problems with the methods, and there wasn't really any solution out there that was any better. And I always was kind of like the weird person in the room that cared a little bit too much about privacy when it wasn't good for the bottom line. So I saw what Brave and Brennan Ike and Brave were doing, and it was the first time where I saw a solution that could actually not just like block things and protect people's privacy, but also that wanted to build business and monetize, and create, a good opportunity for creators and publishers and people making content to, continue making content without having, just an alternative to what they have to do now, which is either, subscription model or, getting into the whole advertising space where, basically privacy is kind of forfeited as a cost of doing business in that area. So Brave was kind of merging those things together, and it started working with them. And then, yeah, we did the Bat White paper, and we're here now.
Awesome. And yeah, for anyone who's curious, ever since we did our interview a year and a half ago, I've been tracking how much BAT I've been earning from ads. So people can go and check that out from my monthly reports. I put that out every month for how much I've earned. And the interesting part is holding BAT is what really did a lot for me, because, originally it's like $1 or $2, but then over time it's gone up so much in value that just holding that, it's worth like something like $500 now over the past year and a half of just watching ads. So pretty impactful, pretty meaningful for a lot of people to get an extra $500 just for watching ads that, that might actually be more relevant to them too, because that's what Brave is all about. So can you just give a bit of an introduction to Brave, again, for people who might not be super familiar what Brave is doing and what it's all about?
Yeah, sure. So Brave's kind of first privacy-focused browser that, we essentially take Chromium source code, we harden it, we kill all the calls to Google, and kind of then you block all third-party ads and tracking, anything that would kind of collect your information without consent. And so we block all of that stuff by default. And when you have good privacy by default, it gives us that foundation to put Brave Rewards in place, which is our ecosystem with creators and advertisers and users, where users opt into Brave ads, which are private ads that are matched locally on your device. So nothing about you leaks from the device as a part of that process, and it's matched based off of the browser data that you have locally. So just like you have your own browsing history, right? But it uses a bunch of different signals with on device to match ads to you, and then you earn 70% of the revenue from the ads that you view. So what we're doing here is kind of creating this model where users have been cut out of the value chain in advertising. And you look at Google and Facebook and all the FANG companies, right? Like they all have built these empires off of personal data from people and advertising. I mean, like 90% of Google's business is from advertising, right? Like, and so that's all done. But what has the user gotten from that? They've gotten some software and services, but the trade-off though for that is extreme and unknown, right? Like people do not realize like how much of their information is being collected all the time. So what Brave does is said, look, there isn't an alternative in the market for this. It's 2021 now, but like back in 2016, it was like, look, the technology's progressed to where we should be able to serve an ad to somebody, get some meaningful information back to the advertiser, because the advertiser really just wants to know a few different metrics anyway, and then do it all without compromising the user's privacy. But even better, that user's attention is valuable, right? Like that's what all these companies in advertising are built on, is the attention of the user. And giving the user a share of that it should have been, the case from the beginning, but it was something that was kind of an oversight. And if we can go in and show people that your attention has value, and even if it's in a small way where you're just claiming tokens and something clicks eventually, then that's a win. Then the users are being brought into the value chain and the value proposition for advertising. And the advertising we have is opt-in. So, advertisers also like that they're getting somebody that actually wants ads, as opposed to like the current approach outside of Brave, where you're shotgunning ads across the universe and you don't know who's real, who's not, and whether or not they even care. And with our model, we're saying, look, here's a cohort of people. They're in the game. They have skin in the game. They're earning rewards from viewing these ads, and not from clicking them, but from viewing them. And those users have a similar situation to what you just expressed, where I'm earning a certain amount every month, and then as the browser becomes more popular, as the value of that increases, you have this really neat little effect where people are like, whoa, okay, seemed like $1 or $2 a month ago, but like, wow, it's like $5 or $6. Like, and then and the other element of this ecosystem is a creator part, right? Like, so we have like over 1 million content creators, and that could be everybody from a website owner to channel creator. So YouTube, GitHub, Twitter, Twitch, Vimeo are all available for people to verify with our platform, and people can tip creators, or we have an auto contribute feature where it just kind of automatically aggregates the amount of time and attention you spend at each of these creators, and then it pays out the amount of BAT that you allocate to all those creators every month. So it's kind of like an autopilot system where you can just kind of cruise the web, and then at the end of the month, the creators that you spend the most time with get rewarded, or you can go with this tipping model. So you've got these three elements. You've got you got advertisers that are paying for ad campaigns, which use BAT to kind of generate demand for BAT, and then you've got users earning BAT from viewing ads, and then you have users that earn BAT, contributing that back to creators, or using them for other means in the ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've really, really loved the platform. Who would have known that people like getting ads that they want to receive and getting paid for it, right? You'd think we would have seen that a long time ago. Because I really like also just being able to customize the ads. I think that's like super, super ideal, so that I can get crypto related ads and find new services that might actually be like relevant to me. And yeah, like you said, I think it's really powerful when people are actually receiving ads that they want to receive, and then that's better for the advertisers because they know there's going to be a better better click through, better view rate, because people are actually wanting to see these things rather than having them invasively like forced upon them. So I think Brave solves a lot of different issues in the marketplace. But what would you say that Brave sets out to solve?
Yeah, I think the most fundamental thing here is that Brave's a privacy company, right? Like we've been able to draw talent from all walks of life that have been kind of drawn to Brave because, one, like we're out there saying like, look, this privacy situation is dire in as far as the web goes, right? Like, and there wasn't a lot back in 2016. We would get laughed out of the room. Like, we go to have meetings with publishers or with advertisers and talk about these things, and then couple of years later, you've got like Zuckerberg and Tim Cook and all these people on stage talking about how privacy is kind of a fundamental human right and it's super important and all of this. Yeah. And so while they're doing that, we just happen to be positioned with a solution that can serve ads basically in any country, regardless of the regulation. But yeah, it all is built on privacy, right? Like, and then I think you look at the privacy element of it, and then the fact that we have our own token, the basic attention token that we generated back in. We had a token launch for that back in May of 2017. And this token is this unit of account. It's something you use in the platform, and it's also available outside the platform. But we're in a position here where if you're only going to mainstream privacy if it's easy, and if there are gains here, and what we started seeing really early on, and what's stuck true ever since then is, when you protect people's privacy and the amount of requests and scripts and all these resources that load with every page that all are collecting your data, when you kill those things off, you get a 2 to 3 X increase in page load and load times, right? Like, I mean, not increase it. You get 2 to 3 times faster, page load when you do not have all of this junk. Because if you look at like the network request, in Chrome or another browser aside from Brave, there are some pages, like some news sites where you go to the page and maybe out of, maybe there's like 140 to 200 requests that are valid and associated with the actual content that you're looking at. But then in some cases you'll have 2, 3, 4,000 events that are firing in the background that you don't even see, but you feel it when the page load is slow, or you hear that fan kick on the computer, right? Like, that's the stuff that's taxing you, and it's all being used to then feed this Lumascape that these companies are making billions and billions of dollars on this data that's getting extracted from you, right? So what we're able to do with the token is kind of bring an alternative model that where you start with privacy and then you use a token and you really bring that direct to user experience. You give people ownership of their attention, and you give them a really strong user agent, which has been missing. And those two things together can give us this kind of like fundamental change that needs to happen in order for privacy to work. Because even now you look at what like you see there's more pressure with these big companies to do something on privacy, and it's a year after Google and these other ad tech companies said we would come up with a plan, and the plan doesn't even really touch on the privacy element very well. It's they're taking their time, right? Like, and while they're taking their time, we're going to market. We're getting users, right? Like we're at 25 million monthly active users right now, and I think it sends a signal about and a statement about how people feel about their privacy, which we wouldn't have heard that loud a few years ago. So I think there's a big shift happening. I think privacy is kind of if not the central player in there, with privacy and with the benefits of the blockchain and in our token involved. Like you can create a new paradigm shift, and you can have a new model that isn't held to all of the red tape and requirements of the old model, which was inherently bad for privacy. But it also gives users value, and then it gets users into the ecosystem. It's a fair deal, right? Like simply put, it's a fair deal for everybody involved, and it's one that lets us have the web with privacy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I found it solves privacy, monetization. Dealing with ads, so many things, speed. So I think there's kind of something there for everyone. Like, because there's a lot of people who say, you know what, I don't care about privacy at all. It's like, okay, well, do you want a faster browsing experience and do you want to make money? So there's always kind of something for everyone, and I think that's really important for a lot of people to consider, especially since it's free.
Yeah, and I think the other thing I'd mention too is just like one of the table stakes things at Brave too is like having a more secure browser too. Yeah. So like not just privacy, but security has always been a focus. Like every feature that we ship or any, code changes that ship in the browser have a security and privacy review process. Like I've never worked at a place where it's been this diligent. But that's the other thing I wanted to mention too, is that security has been a big part of this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Cause that really just goes hand in hand with privacy too. So, you mentioned that you have 25 million monthly active users. How has Brave grown over the past like 2 years or so since we had our last interview?
Yeah, it's really been a sharp rise. I mean, over the past 12 months, we've doubled our user growth. And so, we've even doubled it from that before then. So like we're seeing this continued growth, and especially with COVID, and what we noticed was when a lot of people were working from home more, you might not have that IT person over your shoulder, right? Like and you've just got more and more people on the web all the time, and they have a little bit more flexibility around their browser. So we just started seeing numbers go up. It's been a really cool thing to see. I mean, when we started, there was a lot of skepticism, and you've got the creator of JavaScript kind of like on this mission to basically fix the web, fix privacy on the web, which means like killing a lot of JavaScript, and also the shift in privacy among the mainstream has been significant as well. And I think a lot of people before we would get in meetings and people would dismiss like, okay, well I might care about privacy, but my kids sure as hell don't. They're on social media. Like they are giving all this stuff away. And I said, well, they do care if somebody's in their DMs. But the whole conversation shifted now to where it's like, okay, like you've even got ad tech companies thinking, how do we do this? And Apple coming out has been huge for that. But really, I mean, the trade-offs for speed and growth, and what we've been putting a lot of focus on, initially I would say like the first year or two, right? Like that we were in the game, it was like, prove that you can do these things, like prove that you can serve an ad that is private, and that you can reward a user in tokens for that ad, right? Like, and we did that. And now a lot of the focus is on like, okay, like, if you want this to work with a mainstream audience, like we're at 25 million now, like how do you get to 100 million, right? Like, and who are you competing with at that level, and what are you competing on? And if you look at the space, it's like we're moving to a world where it's like touchless payments, one-click payments, one-click commerce, all these things, right, that are convenience features, and that's typically the first trade-off with convenience is privacy or security, right? Like, and so, now that we've got this privacy element done, like, and we've managed to get millions of people using the token, which was like another thing that people were skeptical of. Like, the next step is like, how can we build in features to use the token in ways, or to use, the mix of the token and traditional payment rails in a way with privacy, and also like make it convenient. So like we're looking at all sorts of ways that we can, add products to this and have kind of like this privacy platform. So like, I don't know if you saw like back about a year ago, or it was March of last year, in our nightly build, we put in a product called Brave Together. It was a proof of concept that we kind of put in. It was a private video conferencing and chat service. And, we're looking at different solutions that, if you were to come from Google to Brave, right? Like what are the table stakes things that you'd want to bring over, and what could you easily bring over, if you're making that switch? And a lot of focus has been on that, like, and on compatibility. Like, if we are breaking a lot of the sites because our privacy protections are, a little too brute force with things, you're not going to get mainstream adoption. You've got to be able to make the web work. So we put a lot of focus in that as well. And, that's kind of been the trajectory, right? Like we doubled the growth in the past year. And you don't do that unless you're kind of addressing some of these issues, but they require a lot of work. And, we've been putting a lot of work, our privacy research teams have been putting a lot of work into like, okay, what are ways that we can, use machine learning and do other things to like help, resolve some of these breakage issues and other things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that you guys recently were working on, what was it? I have it somewhere here. It's Themis, I believe it's called, where it's to improve ad confirmations, I believe, if you want to speak a little to that.
Sure. Yeah. So when we did the BAT white paper, we kind of broke it out into three phases, like the moon missions, right?
Mm.
Like, so you kind of had this Mercury phase where it's like, can we get the rocket into space with a person in Gemini, and kind of like continue to build on that, and then Apollo, where you're going to the moon, right? Like, and so the challenge here, especially when we first launched a token, was the regulatory space or the climate was very uncertain. Even when we launched a token in May of 2017, like the SEC and all these regulators had not really come out with strong opinions about cryptocurrency and utility tokens. And then in July, a couple months after, they started to make these things. But it wasn't just the SEC, right? Like you got to look at the whole world and the regulatory compliance requirements, right? Like and the difference between us and a lot of other projects in the space that are starting from zero is like we had a product before we did our token sale, and we have before we launched the BAT, like we had a working product that had users on it, a lot of users, and especially for the time. And so the challenge has been kind of around like, how can you do this while being in compliance with the law, because we can't take the same risks that some other companies might take that are new to the space when they're just kind of crossing their fingers and hoping that the regulators don't eventually crack down. What you want to do is make sure that like you're operating in compliance, because the stuff that can happen is pretty bad, and you don't necessarily want associated with you. Like if people are leveraging the system for ways that they shouldn't be or wasn't intended to be used. So, we've always kind of butted up against a lot of the I don't know, I wouldn't call them decentralization Puritans, but I would say that, the most hardcore people on that side of the spectrum in crypto have pushed back on us for, requiring that you go through a custodial partner if you want to take BAT out of the ecosystem, right? Like, and a lot of the reporting we've been doing, like with advertisers, it uses a cryptographic protocol, and it's backed by MAC, but like it's still kind of coming from a single source. And so what we're doing with Themis is it's kind of that Apollo phase, that last iteration, right? Where okay, we've been how do we progressively decentralize the ecosystem, and then make it so that we can have verifiable reporting that's on chain, and also have a system set up where we can turn around and have other people use it outside of Brave, right? Like developers, etc. So Themis has been kind of focused on that. And the interesting thing about this is that like while that's been happening, DeFi has come out, and when we did our token launch, there was no DeFi. Like, I mean, depending on how you define it, but like DeFi has come out, and BAT just kind of was like organically brought into the DeFi space. Like you could put it in, use it as collateral and Compound, or in Maker. Like this is early stuff, and so people have been finding utility cases for BAT even outside of the ones that we've been engineering in the platform, and so Themis is kind of taking us to that next level where, okay, like if we get this, we're working on getting this to this, through decentralization, like progressive decentralization, that next iteration of it. But, that's kind of fulfilling that promise of the white paper, because first we kind of had to hit the low hanging fruit. Like the privacy piece was probably the hardest. And then, proving that out and getting the growth, and then now going into that decentralization base. Because at the time, in 2017, I mean, like there was no way that you could scale the type of volume required for advertising confirmations on chain at the time, and even now. I mean, like now there's solutions out there, and we actually started this RFC and C like request for comments and submissions from inviting other blockchain projects like to come in and almost like what like Reddit did with the Bake Off in June over the summer, where it's like, look, you got a solution that can scale, like let's see it, like let's talk about it, right? Like, and so it's kind of an open call, and people are coming in through the community for that effort with our research and Horizons team. And that's what's up with Themis.
Awesome. Yeah, there's a lot going on. You guys also have a lot of other stuff going on too. So let's talk about partnering with IPFS, because I know a lot of people in the decentralized space are really excited about that as well.
Yeah, I mean, like it was pretty timely. As timely as it was, kind of, we announced it in January, right around the time when a lot of this deplatforming continues to happen, and you
Yeah.
have like alternatives like Parler and others getting pulled from app stores, things like that. But we've been working with them for quite a while, right? Like because even when very early on, we were really excited about what IPFS is doing, and like being able like we can capture the attention piece of the economy, but like if you're still in a situation where you have like kind of the central authorities, whether it's a technology company or a government that can just kind of turn your content off, that sucks. Like there needs to be more resiliency for creators and for the web to be able to like make sure that your content is your content and it's hosted and you're the one that makes a decision to take it down, right? And so by integrating IPFS into Brave and we set it up to where it doesn't require you setting up a whole other daemon on your machine, like it's all done through the browser. We're working on ways to kind of like show creators, hey, like here's this system where you can kind of like you've got your web 2 stack set, what you're doing there. Here are these other areas where you can bring your content to a new audience, whether it's through advertising or hosting through IPFS, like, and build this kind of web that we originally all were hoping it would be, right? Where users have agency and control over their content, and that content can live for ever, basically. Like, and so we're super excited about it. I mean, I think it's getting the thing integrated is one thing, and then now it's really interesting because there was such a good amount of feedback from the community and from the public at large about people were getting ideas from people. We're meeting a lot of companies that have been working with IPFS, and we're starting those types of discussions to talk about integrations and kind of like look and see like, okay, you got the protocol there, like who's the GoDaddy of the space, right? Like how can I start to like set up these new players and these new flows, and that's where a lot of the focus is now with this is to kind of take it to that next level, but also like setting it up so that you can host something on IPFS and then still resolve to it, over HTTPS. So like if someone isn't even using IPFS, you can still cover that case. You have a fallback for that. So that's another area where, similar to everything else, like you got to make it work and you got to make the web work. So we've been putting a lot of focus in that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense where people who might want to explore IPFS, but don't have the technical know-how, where Brave comes in and kind of bridges that gap. So I think that's absolutely awesome. So Brave runs in a lot of countries. What can people do if they don't have access, and or are you still looking to, grow and expand to more places?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I mean, we're pretty much everywhere globally with the browser, and with rewards and ads. We're in over 190 countries. I think we might even be up over the 200 mark now.
Wow.
And the only ones where we can't really operate in are, sanctioned countries where we would run into issues with, FinCEN or money laundering issues or get into trouble on that front. So pretty much everywhere else, like, we can run, and we have ads running. And if you go to brave.com/transparency, we have a transparency report that not only like shows, okay, the amount of tokens that we buy back from campaigns that are spent in USD that we use to reward users, but it also has a list of all the countries available for that Brave ads are available in, and it has active campaign counts for all those countries, and it's updated regularly. So and it also has creator counts and all that stuff in one place. So brave.com/transparency, you can get a full list of countries where Brave ads are available. And then you can also, track our growth and see what we're doing, and kind of participate in the ecosystem that way.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's really great that you guys include that and kind of be a role model in the space for other companies and entities to try to do something similar. I think that's awesome. You guys also recently launched the Tap Network. I thought that was a really, really cool little like marketplace. Do you want to explain what that is?
Yeah, sure. So that was one we announced in 2019, and then we launched it last year. And basically, like, one of the things we're spending a lot of time on now is looking at like, okay, we've got methods in there for people to reward content creators. People are earning BAT. Like some people have earned quite a bit of BAT. How can they put that BAT to use elsewhere, right? And so Tab was the first kind of venture into that space where you've been earning BAT. You can use that BAT if you verify your wallet with Uphold, because we still have to operate in compliance, right? You can take that BAT you've earned, and you can also go to Tap and spend it on a gift card for Amazon, or they have sweeps entries where you can basically tip a BAT to enter sweepstakes to win a signed guitar from Rihanna, or I think we were doing ledgers one time. We were also doing other every month we're doing 2 to 3 of these sweepstakes promotions. So it doesn't cost much to get in. It's like one BAT, I think, to enter, and then you can win a prize from that, which can be pretty good. It can be like $100 gift card one time, or memorabilia another time, yada yada. But the idea here is that you're earning BAT. What we want to start to do is show you ways that you can utilize that in the ecosystem, aside from rewarding creators, which will always be a focus, but also giving people more options. And I think, we have that integration with Tap was kind of our first step into that. We're also working on a SKU product where you don't have to fully verify, or you fully verify, but it opens us up for merchants, right? So you can actually have anything you have a SKU for, you add this library and it can map that SKU. And you can transact with BAT on that, and so you could kind of see this evolving into a thing where I'm going to go make a purchase somewhere. I've also got this BAT sitting here. Why don't I put that towards that purchase, right? Yeah. And it's almost like a quasi discount that you can have through the platform. So we're looking at ways that we can do that type of thing, get BAT into more hands, get BAT transacting. We have our Brave Swag Store, which we worked with Origin. They have this D Shop platform where they're kind of trying to disrupt Shopify, right? And with crypto. And so last September, they added an option to pay with BAT. So it's a Web3 payment option, right? So you're using kind of like a crypto wallet or a MetaMask to use that transaction. But we've been also working with them on that side of it. So we're trying to kind of cover both of these sides of the spectrum. You've got this rewards flow that's mainstream friendly that you don't need to know about crypto to use. And then we've got, ways that we're kind of integrating additional options for BAT outside in Web3. And then, trying to work on converging those things to meet in the middle. It is the ultimate goal and bringing a lot of utility there. Because it's still early and there's a ton of opportunity to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of ways to use BAT, you guys are coming out with a Brave decentralized exchange. What should we be expecting for that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We just dropped our BAT roadmap version 2 yesterday. Is decentralized exchange aggregator. So let me kind of unpack it. There's 3 main pieces to this, right? Sure. One is take a unified wallet in Brave. So if you look at our desktop product right now, we've got Brave Rewards Wallet. You've got a crypto wallet, which we forked from MetaMask into Brave. And then you've got, your traditional Chromium payment method edition. So you can add your credit cards and Chrome will remember it and all of that. There are 3 isolated wallets in a single product that don't really work with each other. They don't work together. What we're trying to do is kind of unify them into a single wallet that's easy to use. And it gives you additional options. This is where the DEX aggregator comes in, right? Is we can give people options to fiat into crypto, through existing rails that we have or custodial partners, but also give people options to swap in BAT, swap their other crypto for BAT, right? Or, a situation where, okay, I've been accumulating BAT. Gas fees are a major problem right now, right? And imagine there's a decentralized exchange in BAT where you can make swaps and get a discount on the gas if you use BAT, kind of like BNB does, right? Where, okay, I can use this BAT to pay down some of that transaction fee or get a better price on something. And so being able to swap those things in, and like I was saying earlier with our Brave Together video product, and then also we released a VPN product. We want to make it so that you can use BAT to purchase those products, right? Like, monthly subscriptions to those things or annual subscriptions, pay with BAT, right? Like, and so if we have a decentralized aggregator, we can actually not only get the best price on a swap, but you could actually swap something in and then use that, swap it for BAT, and then use that BAT to pay for some of these services that you would typically either have to pay with fiat in, or hope that you accumulate enough BAT to pay for, a monthly subscription on. We can actually, swap you in to do that. But ultimately, also, I think, like, DeFi is, it's massively powerful. Like I think, like, the closest thing I can think of, and this is probably a horrible example, but like, if you look at what happened with like World War I, with like, they added like machine guns to the front lines, right? Like, and it was highly effective if you knew how to use it. And you had the right equipment. But if you didn't, it was, or you were on the wrong side, it was like horrible, right? Like, the problem now is like, I mean, the potential there with DeFi, like when you look at how it could, disrupt banking and disintermediate, and give people more control and more power and more utility, like, it's something that would do very well among the masses. But while there have been usability improvements in the space, it's not there yet, like where you could put anybody in front of it and have them transacting. And so one of the things we've been able to do well, with rewards and with getting people to utilize BAT, has been to kind of think about things outside of the box and like try to create a flow that everyday users could go through. But having a decentralized exchange can open up a whole different array of opportunities for us to like explore layer 2 solutions, to let people who maybe only have $1 or $5 in BAT start playing and experimenting and learning with DeFi, and a whole other array of options, right? Like, it really, like, it's going to kind of like, we'll have this wallet is kind of like the first entry point, and then having this aggregator alongside of it just opens up this whole new world to a bigger audience than what is currently exposed to. And then what we can do in between is try and figure out, like, okay, what are the best routes? How can we learn from what others are doing, integrate what others are doing, or come up with ways ourselves that can make this easy for people to use, and make it easy for everybody to use if they want to use it. And so I think that when you look at a platform that's grown to 25 million people, having the keys to unlock that world to even 5% of those people, it's a shift that could just, be huge for improving the lives of those people, but also for the space, like getting more and more adoption. And so that's kind of where we see ourselves entering into this space. Like, as there are major problems out there with these things, and you're starting to see things too, like the Binance Smart Chain and other solutions that are really going after this. And if we can do it with our ethos and kind of the Brave Kool-Aid behind it, right? Like where integrity and all of the looking out for the user's interest, all of that into this kind of a space where, to be honest, I mean, the small fraction of people that are into DeFi, like there's a lot of sketchy stuff going on, like, and people kind of getting taken advantage of, right? Like, and in some ways that's necessary, right? To prove out the technology and to show people what's possible. But if you are hoping for mainstream adoption, like it's got to get easier. It's got to be simpler. And, and I think that, in my opinion, and the value that is unlocked from that, like, I mean, it's huge. Like, and I see your posts, right? Like you're going through this, you're seeing what you can earn with crypto. Like you're seeing how it's kind of changing your life. And I mean, it's just like, if we can open this up, and we've got millions of users behind us, it not only opens us up to the protocols that are being worked on by the teams, but we have an advertising platform that has like the biggest agencies and brands buying into it. The opportunities to kind of like build businesses around this are huge, and they're very untapped. And they're waiting for somebody to come in and break the ice and show them a way to do it. And we've done that with creators. Like we've got over 1 million of them doing it. We have, Vice, the Wall Street Journal, like or Dow Jones, like a bunch of major publications. We made a flow that they can get on board with. Let's look at how we can do that with DeFi. Let's look at how we can do that with crypto in a major way, and then also just make a better product. Like, I mean, like if I don't remember, I know about you, but like I remember when like I had a savings account that actually like, rewarded me for saving stuff in it. Yeah. Like, and DeFi is the closest thing to that now. Like, and everyone's like, oh, like, it's not like double digit gains or whatever, but like, you know what, like I just want people to remember what it's like to have a savings account. And if you can do that with DeFi, like that's a huge win. Like, and then you're seeing Gemini, you're seeing other companies coming out with like, they have this like genius cards, like 3% crypto back on cash purchases with the card.
Mm-hmm.
Like stuff like that is what's going to like really accelerate growth. If you can tie things to where people are passively earning crypto, like viewing ads or paying for things or whatever, like that's the stuff that can really kind of accelerate adoption. And so like Brave has been really good at doing that up to this point in in just getting people aware to these fundamental concepts. It's like, let's take it to the next level with the DEX, like with the DEX aggregator, with the wallets. Let's just make this something where first really private solution to the Google space and to the busted internet as we know it. Like let's build that this kind of super app platform that we can get everybody onto that wants it.
Yeah. So do you see the future of Brave and BAT? Is it kind of going to be like this all encompassing replacement for a lot of different features in crypto and in legacy platforms? Like clearly you guys are building out a lot of different things for crypto users. Will we ever see something kind of replacing the standard like Google suite of applications? Like will there ever be a Brave Mail or something along those lines? Like what does the future hold for Brave?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like, it's been a proving ground up to this point, right? And I think that, there's a real appetite for having solutions out there that aren't just like kind of hand waving privacy, but are actually truly private, where if you have a researcher that has Wireshark or some network analysis rig basically pulling all the calls, that they're actually it actually looks like a private product, right? Like, and that's a phase we're in now, where you've got like the Googles and the FANG companies of the world, everybody who is talking about privacy, but really a lot of these companies are so invested in the old ecosystem that the game kind of becomes, how do I change the definition of privacy, or how do we dilute privacy to make it private enough? And the thing we've been, very, very consistent with from 2016 to now is, privacy is privacy. And, we are not going to cut corners. If anything, we've gotten more private with how we've approached things than less. And so, the next natural phase, like to get more mainstream adoption, you got to be able to like bridge that gap between, okay, well, Brave's a great browser, but I still do all these other things over here. And so, yeah, like I think like we're exploring what the best options are to kind of continue to build on this, right? And I think you're seeing a bit of it with VPN that we've brought out. That's like that was our first, product that you could pay for. It's on iOS and take the protection that you get with Brave and extend it across all the apps on your device. And so we're working on that for other platforms. But I think, video conferencing, like there are just key things where they go together well. A browser is a great starting point. But yeah, and whether it's us directly building these things or partnering with companies that are aligned and that are following through on their privacy promises, like that's also in the cards, like and that's something I would definitely like kind of stay tuned in on with us, because I think a lot of the time the past couple of years have been like, okay, trying out a lot of different things to seeing what kind of hits and what doesn't and what's possible. And I think what you'll start to see now over the next 6 to 12 months is like, okay, really kind of focusing in on, like with the roadmap, 3 core things that we could do with that would really, accelerate growth and bring more utility and really just kind of scale crypto. And then also like, with the browser, like, what other pieces, like we really sync upgrades this last year was huge. Like it was one of the biggest things we had complaints from users was like, I really want to be using Brave, but either my websites I go to are broken or I can't sync it across my devices. And we had a first version of sync it did the job for a lot of people, but what we really needed to do to stay competitive was give you a closer sync to what you're getting with Chrome or the competitors, right? Like, and so that end of it is being built in on the browser. So like payments is another area where it's like, okay, like I'm earning BAT. How can I use it elsewhere? How can I use one of the coolest things that I see, like, and I got to do this myself with the tap integration, like over Christmas, was like taking that BAT I've earned, putting it into a gift card at Amazon and buying a Christmas gift with it. Or we've had people that have, like there was an Uphold card that was out where people were like taking pictures of their receipt that they used to buy gas with BAT. So your attention in the browser is literally paying for your gas. I think that's really awesome. Like, and I think, on the payment space, like there's a whole slew of things we can do there. So yeah, I to answer the question, like we're looking into what the best pieces are, the best like kind of Lego blocks are to build out those, like productivity, like life types of apps to build into the ecosystem. And I would stay tuned this year to see what we come up with on that front.
Awesome. That's going to be exciting. And then another really big thing that I've been getting a lot of questions about lately is the creator ad program. So I got the chance to work with Brave in a beta capacity where I had 2 ads that showed up on the Brave browser that linked to my library channel and my YouTube channel. Amazing success. I'm, completely thrilled, very, very thankful to be involved. It basically took me from 3,000 subscribers on YouTube to close to 5,000 now in, I think it's been like something like a week. So, yeah, just awesome. Absolutely amazing, extremely overwhelmed with the results. But more importantly, I've gotten a lot of people inquiring about this and they're interested and they want to know what is this all about and, who else better to explain it than yourself?
Yeah, no, that's great. And first off, like, thank you for participating. Like, we started running this kind of pilot, and we pulled a small handful of creators that, were crypto savvy, that that we enjoyed watching their content, and to pilot this with us. And going into it, we had some assumptions that this would do well. I mean, I think the consistent thing we're seeing is similar to what you've described, right? Like, we're able to kind of leverage the ad platform to help drive people to content discovery and like learn about, creators. And for creators, it's like a great way to show a lot of people that want advertising what you're up to. And our audience is like very crypto savvy, but it's also a lot of people that are kind of lead users, early adopters, and people that are into tech but might not be into crypto. And I mean, like, we've seen on the advertising side of things, like some of our biggest customers are crypto companies, because what they're starting to see is like we can actually build an entire audience and a marketing plan around Brave and deliver to a set of users that we typically would either not be able to advertise to or not be able to, we get kind of lost in the noise. And so with creators, I think, we have this network of like over 1 million creators that have signed up to accept BAT. We have this ad platform that, we've seen really great results with. The problems that are facing creators are no smaller now than they were 2 to 3 years ago. If anything, they're bigger, right? Like, I mean, like, you're seeing it. The people are getting deplatformed. It's still a black box as to what monetizes the best. And you're still kind of at the mercy of, these gatekeepers. And they have higher and higher bars on requirements. Like YouTube is starting to really look like kind of like, I don't know, premium cable. Like it's weird. And so like, if you're a new creator and you want to get more people viewing your content so you can monetize it even outside of Brave, like that's part of what's driving this, is like, how can we deliver value to big creators that want to expand their audience, mid creators that have an audience that are always looking for new eyes on their content and want to grow it in a new space, and then on the startup side of it, like, you need to hit so many views on YouTube, right? Like, I can't think of a better way to kind of like pick an audience that isn't looking away from ads or blocking them. The ads that you run with Brave are going to people that want to see them. And so, it's just another way that we can kind of offer value to creators and help them grow, because this wasn't a scenario we could have done 2 years ago. Like we're at the point now where we've got such a large audience that even the people that are just opting into ads, it's large enough to where you can grow a following from that, or you can really kind of monetize off of that. And so what we've been doing with this pilot is like just kind of testing different things out, and like testing out what's most effective, and how can we kind of package up the results in a way that kind of tells the message really clearly and shows what we've done here. And like, we're not paying anybody like that's doing this. Like, it's all like, hey, it's all in the kind of the spirit of testing something new out. And so like, it's a really great way to kind of like, one, figure out what works and what doesn't, and bring that to market. But then two, like, give creators a path where maybe they've been earning BAT. Like, we had a referral program that we sunsetted, but like, we saw a lot of creators make a lot of BAT from that, right? Like, and if creators may not have enough cash to go spend on Google, why go spend it there when you can spend it with us with BAT? And you can also like get a highly engaged audience that's going to come and check out your stuff, and most likely be aligned with what you're putting out there, because our audience is very heavily like 18 to like 38-year-old tech enthusiasts, right? Like, and so if you have a tech podcast or anything that those types of people would be into, it's a great place to do that. So our website, we have an advertiser section. There's a minimum on that. I think the other thing that we've been looking at, or we've been working on and we've been testing out, is a self-serve platform for Brave Ads, because right now we have these. I think it's like between $2,500 to $10,000, depending on what the ad type is, a minimum buy-in to serve the ads on our platform, and it's done kind of through managed service with our operations and account management teams. What we're trying to do is bring an experience more like what you get with Google Ads or Facebook Ads, where anybody can come in and kind of self-serve your own campaign and get it out there and really kind of experiment and test. So in parallel with this pilot program that we've been doing with you and others, we are also working on getting this self-serve platform out, and we have partners that have been testing that for months and giving us valuable feedback. And so we're working on kind of like this regional rollout strategy for that. And creators seem like a really cool fit to pilot this with. So that's kind of where we're leaning. We haven't officially, come out with anything on that, but part of what we're trying to do is see, like, are the results there? And as you said, I mean, like, we're seeing consistently what you said, where the results are there. So I would stay tuned for that. If you want more information on advertising on Brave, just go to brave.com and go to the advertiser section. And if you end up, following through and getting in touch with the team, just let them know you heard it here, and we can get you involved.
Awesome. And yeah, I mean, I'm a social media marketer by trade as my day job. And I run campaigns all the time for big businesses, small businesses. And this campaign is an amazing click-through rate. All the metrics are just by far better than anything I've seen with Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, pretty much anything. So absolutely, highly recommend. And I can't recommend it enough. It's amazing. So yeah, that is pretty much everything that I have here. Actually, I do have one more question. Where do you feel that Brave fits in with existing and or similar projects, whether it's crypto browsers or, comparing to Chrome or, an alternative like Dissenter? Where do you feel Brave fits in that mix?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think, we see ourselves kind of, as the first really mainstream addressable privacy product with native crypto enabled, like at different levels, right? Yeah. Like, and it's really cool seeing Dissenter. Like, I think that, like, were we talking about Dissenter like Gab, or Decenter like the
Dissenter like Gab's browser? Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah. So there's that side of it, which I think like kind of the Dissenter side of it, like it kind of stuff like we're doing with IPFS, right? Like where it's making a more resilient network for hosting content, and even doing things like, minting NFTs and stuff like that, like do it yourself types of things like that. We're addressing that side of the market with that. On the other end of it though, we're starting now to see some more projects that are kind of going toward content creators in crypto. Like there's always been like Coil and others, but like we've just been really disciplined with like focused on getting working product out early. And so I think it's cool to see them. Like on the advertising side, I'm still blown away that we haven't seen another company doing something really close to what we're doing yet. I thought for sure we would have seen it by now, but like we saw companies trying to do it with tokens back in 2017 that most of them are gone now. But like I think it's not easy to do these things. And so if other companies are out there doing them, and there's a place for them, and the great thing about what we're doing at Brave is that, any extension that you have in Chrome can work in Brave. And so I think the cool thing about what we're doing here is that, if we can get the fundamentals right, like we are creating a platform for development of these new protocols, for integration of them. And what the really cool thing is if we can start to see developers build extensions for things and see those extensions take off and see a good fit with those extensions in Brave, like we have the ability to kind of natively integrate these things. And so I think that, it's still really early, but we've been able to grow so much that we can actually become a cool play. And I'm talking to developers all the time, and especially like in blockchain gaming and some of these other areas where like we'll have these discussions with them and they're like, yeah, and I always caveat it with like, oh, by the way, if you're in Brave, like there might be, if you run into any bugs or compatibility issues, let us know. And more and more often, we're hearing them come back and say, no, we developed this in Brave. Like we started in Brave. And I was like, whoa, okay, that's awesome. Like I love hearing that stuff, right? Because it's such a cool thing to go from like, I mean, when I started working in the company, it was like maybe 12 people, and then it was a small WeWork, and we were just hoping we could like get something that could prove these things out there. And now to hear that like advertisers are building marketing strategies around it, we're helping creators to get new audiences with this, like developers are developing with it, like it just kind of shows the progression. Like it's not big bang stuff at Brave, right? We're open sourced, we it's iterative rolling thunder, right? And that's how you build important things, like and that's what we're going to continue doing. So I'm really excited to see where we go with this. I hope you have me on again, like to give another update, hopefully less than 2 years from now, but like we'll figure out a sooner time. But I'm excited to see, we're still just scratching the surface with this stuff, like and it's been quite a cool ride. So stay tuned to brave.com and like we're all on Twitter. I'm just Luke Mulks on Twitter, and a lot of the team's on there too. And one of the things we love doing is engaging with people directly. And so if you have feedback or want to get in touch, I'm on Twitter. You hit me up, and happy to engage.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for this interview. Everyone, make sure to go and if you, for some reason, don't already have Brave, obviously go and get it. And then follow Luke and Brave and Basic Attention Token on Twitter and anywhere else that you can find them. Obviously, all of their stuff is on brave.com for you to check out as well. And again, just thank you so much for being on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Awesome. All right. Cheers.